Billings are back, kicking it with Leif, 98.5 The Wolf. Morning, everybody. Set 8:14, 14 minutes past the hour. Current temperature is, you're looking at 17, all on our way to 32 degrees today. Going to be a little chilly. Tomorrow, you're looking at a high of 29. So there you go. There's your weather forecast, at least for a couple of days. Hanging out with my friend Ryan Spoonor. Ryan, great job bringing in Mason. He did a great job today.
Yeah, good kid.
Good to talk about total nutrition, especially in the new year.
Yep.
Yeah, really good. Shifting gears, my friends Jeff Karinja and Tim Lofing from Worldwide Entertainment Studios. How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good morning. Yeah, come a little closer for me. Listen, so I want to make sure everybody can hear you.
All right.
So, Jeff, you and I have been talking on the phone a little bit over the last couple of weeks. So, tell us a little bit about your organization, what your guys are all about.
Well, yeah, I came out of the Marine Corps, then Wall Street, and as an investment banker. 15 years, I retired.
Sure.
And then went out to L.A. Met some friends. They asked me to reorg their company, and I did. And they grew it by multiple numbers. And I said, this is way too easy. And I ended up owning a branding firm in Los Angeles, and worked on over 100 films.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and my business partner is a senior production attorney at Warner Brothers. My other partner was the president of Disney, president of Universal, CEO of MGM United Artists, and is now CEO of Converse.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. So we decided we wanted to open up a movie studio. So I already had property up here in Montana.
Sure.
And so we said, let's go to Montana. So we came up here, met great people like Wally Gold, and he was running the house at that time.
Sure.
Sat down with the governor, and we discussed what we wanted to do with the state to help economic development and to create jobs for the youth.
Jobs for youth. You got my attention right there.
Yeah, well, a lot of the youth leave the state.
Exactly.
And I learned that lesson because of my son. When he came up here with us, he couldn't find what he wanted to do.
Sure.
So he goes, look, Dad, I have to leave.
Right.
And I said,
opportunities.
Boom. I said, well, I got to do something about this. So we negotiated the bill for both houses, and we passed it. Thank God for Wally Gold helping us.
Sure.
And so right now we're going to build a movie studio up here, and we're working to raise the investment tax credit caps. But because of the bill we wrote, that Yellowstone came in 1923 came in, and according to the reports, we returned over $40 million net back to the Treasury, the general fund of the state of Montana, which is
awesome.
Jobs, great,
Absolutely.
Cash flow,
Commerce is good, yeah.
Commerce is very
Absolutely.
good. But with me is my fellow producer, Tim Lofing. I love him to death. He's a great guy. He's honest, a straight shooter.
Those are good in Montana.
Pure Montanan. He's multi-generation, California, but he's a film producer.
Okay.
But he had to leave the stage. But he can explain that to you.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, certainly. So, I was one of the kids that wanted to work in film and television. I grew up just in Columbus, Montana, just down the road. Driving here, I listened to your guys' station the whole way.
Oh, cool.
Nutrition.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
But yeah, it was, I always had a passion for film and television, but unfortunately there just wasn't the opportunities. And
right.
So I was one of those kids that had to move away, to either go to Los Angeles or go to New York City. And so I went to New York City for 13 years. Started as a production assistant, like everybody does, getting coffee. But I think that growing up on the farm, Montana thing, saying yes sir, yes ma'am, being respectful. That paid off.
Absolutely.
And, so you get trusted with more responsibility. Once they know that you work hard, you keep your head down, and eventually that led to where I'm at now, which is just producing. And I've had an amazing journey, man. 13 years in New York with clients from everywhere from Netflix to the commercial side of things, doing stuff for Burger King or Mercedes-Benz or, above. So it's been a wild journey, but then I met this guy when we all evacuated from COVID. Our whole world was shut down.
Right. Yeah, especially the film and TV world,
Yeah, I got a call from my brother, and he goes, they're shutting schools down in Montana. And I said, maybe it's time to go home before I can't get home.
Oh, a lot of people do that, for sure.
So I came back from New York, and then we started Montana Outlaw Productions here in Billings, and we're a proud chamber member as well. But
cool.
I met Jeff through a mutual colleague, and then the rest was history.
It's been fun, but it's a tough haul.
Yeah. No, Ryan and I can relate. My son is 30, and some of his kids are a little bit older too. And I remember when my son was approaching graduation from college, and they were considering moving out of state, for different opportunities. And then finally an opportunity popped up here in the financial world, which was great. And so his mother and I were very thrilled that he was able to stay, and now they're here for the long haul. But my daughter is in San Francisco, and so probably never coming back. She's got her life there, and so I totally get what you're saying. We want to keep those talented youth, those talented people here in Montana, and this is exactly what you're trying to do.
Exactly what we're trying to do. There are many, many talented young people here, but they just can't find a way.
Right.
And our industry is very high paying.
Sure.
Our average salary is about $85,000.
So they're good jobs.
Those are good jobs.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And that's on the high tier of Montana's income.
Right.
Range.
Absolutely.
So, but we employ everything from carpenters, electricians, everything across the board.
Sure.
Anything you do,
There's a lot of skills that
we employ.
that supports the industry.
So really, it's a city.
Sure.
A studio is a city.
Sure.
So you need to run the city.
So what does a project like this cost? I've seen some of the renderings. I've looked at your website. What does a project like this cost? Because that's it. At the end of the day, that's really what it boils down to, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about anywhere between $200 to $300 million to build them, and we're fully funded, so we're ready to go. All we need to do is have the governor and both houses approve lifting the cap up to an amount that justifies the ROI of the investment, which means return on investment.
Sure.
For our shareholders. And some of them are Montanans and some of them are out of state.
Sure.
But we need to raise the investment tax credits up to about $250 to $300.
So is that just legislation? Is this conversations? Is it lobbying? What prompts that?
It's a bit of all.
Okay. Yeah.
It gets. Sometimes it's a pleasure. Sometimes it's not a pleasure to do so. It depends how you're speaking with people and what they're saying to you. But I think it's about educating everyone on how it works. Right.
Which is our first step today, getting us all educated.
That's right, because there's a lot of assumptions made that aren't correct.
Sure.
But they don't bother to ask, and so you have
to
get out there and reach them and educate them. But Tim can explain more on that.
Sure. Can we go through a little bit?
Yeah, let's before we bounce to a break, Lynn, we'll come back and cover that. I was just going to say this right here. I was reading this on your website. Worldwide Entertainment Studio is a Montana company with a Montana focus, brought to you by the authors of the Montana Media Act of 2019, bringing films, TV, and jobs to Montana and supporting educational and vocational training for all Montanans. So we're going to be coming back in a minute talking about Worldwide Entertainment Studios. Billings, we're going to bounce to a break. We'll be right back. Kicking it with Leif, 98.5 The Wolf. Good start, guys. Good start. Rick, good morning. Jenny Dow's watching this morning.
Too far away?
Yeah, just a little bit. Come a little closer. Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's just our natural tendency.
I appreciate this.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, we appreciate you coming down. That's this could be an exciting project.
Yes, and we need help from people like yourself.
Sure.
To promote it because, like I said, they just don't get it.
Sure.
And it takes time.
It does, yeah. Yeah, people don't know what they don't know, right?
And they think we're taking money from the state when we actually put money in the state, into the treasury. Because when we do our investment tax credits, it takes a year and a half to finally get those credits.
Oh, sure.
Right? So in the interim, all that tourism money, all everything coming in because of the shows.
Sure.
That are putting in.
Oh, man, the Yellowstone.
That was a huge hit.
Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable.
And that would never have been here if it wasn't.
Oh, I'm sure you get some of that, too. Yeah.
Would never have been here if it wasn't for us.
Right.
Okay. So, but there are other shows that we need to focus on the east side of Montana as well.
Sure.
So as a studio, we can redirect those films where to go.
Sure.
So we can spread the wealth throughout the state. Now,
because people always just think the studios are in the LAs, the New Yorks, the bigger cities.
They're all over the country.
Right.
And this has the best B-roll you could ask for because of the background.
Sure. Big sky country. Yeah, absolutely.
Everything from the high deserts to the glaciers.
Sure.
So I fell in love with this state here. Red Lunch to me is like Park City, Utah.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great way to explain it. Yeah.
And that was what made me stop and buy land and build.
Sure.
Just going through there. And the people of Red Lunch are great.
Oh, they're just absolute gems. Yeah, I know. I spent a lot of time in Red Lodge. I didn't know that your grandpa's picture was in the back of the candy store.
That's where my family's from.
That's cool.
My mom's side. So.
That's cool. Sherman, good morning. Hi, Rick. Hello, Donna. Good morning. Hi, Jenny. We still got a couple minutes. Paul, good morning. Raina, good morning.
Are you going to be based in Billings, Bozeman? Where are you going to be? Where's going to be like the home?
It's between Carbon County and Yellowstone.
Okay.
No, I love on the website having some of those renderings of what it would look like. Like I said, it does look like a little city. That's amazing.
It is a city because we're going to build 3,000 living units as well.
Okay.
And that's
smart. That's smart.
To take the pressure off the city. We have our own fire department. We have our own police department. So basically, we're a zip code. If you want to put something realistic about it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So we're not dependent on any balances or budgets from any city or anything like that. But we can loan our fire departments out when there's an emergency.
Absolutely.
Or, our emergency units, our police units, if they need to go out.
So if there's 2,000 jobs there, how many people would be living there?
Well, there's combinations for 3,000, but that's for some that's working because they already be locals anyway.
Sure.
Right, but that's for when productions come in and stuff like that as well.
Okay, gotcha.
So we don't overwhelm. All right, but you have 2,000 jobs interior, but you have 7,000 direct and indirect jobs on the exterior. Okay,
right, supporting
all those productions that come in. They float all over the state.
Sure.
So if, let's say you take Martinsdale, that small little town, that one time had 2 gas stations.
Right.
If we go in there and say we're running a $100 million film.
Right.
All right. Well, $75 million that stays on the ground here.
Sure.
So would imagine what that would do for Martinsdale and revitalizing it.
Absolutely.
And the tourism that would come back to that area. Because if you take Field of Dreams, 65,000 people a year go to see that area.
Sure.
That's a lot of people.
Oh, man. They're spending a lot of money in that area. Jim, good morning.
Pocket towns would do really well.
We're on 30 seconds, guys.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. It's perfect. Jim, good morning. Brooke, hello. Tara, good morning. Hey, Billings, we're back. Kicking it with Leif, 98.5 The Wolf, Billings' premier country station, Billings' best country music. 8:28, 28 minutes past the hour. Looking at a temperature of 17, on our way to 32 today. It can be a brisk day, but a whole lot better than it was yesterday. Thanks for driving down today.
Oh, our pleasure.
Yeah, Jeff and Tim drove down this morning from Red Lodge. What time did you have to leave there this morning?
Well, I had a bit of a hiccup trying to get here.
Oh, yeah?
So I woke up this morning and I forgot to plug the truck in.
Oh, sure.
It up.
Yeah.
So I'm out there at 4:30 in the morning plugging it in and putting the charger on.
Oh, sure.
I had it,
details.
Freezing.
You got her just in time.
No. It was about overheating.
So, Tim, before we went to the break, you were going to explain a little something to us. I forgot what you were going to talk about right before we went to the break.
Right. We were just going to talk about how the media tax credit.
Oh, yeah. Please. Thank you.
It's a complicated process, but breaking it down easily is that, any qualified production in Montana that's going to spend over $350,000 in the state first has to apply. Right?
Sure.
They put in an application saying they want to qualify for that credit. Then once that production spends all of its money, meaning that principal photography wraps, all of it's done, then they turn in their books, right, to the Department of Revenue. And at that point, then there's different qualifiers throughout the state. For example, 10% if you use, all Montana studios. There's another qualifier if you use college students. Right?
Sure.
So there's little incentives built in, but there's a 35% ceiling. That's what protects Montana. So no matter what, Montana's always going to walk away with at least 65% of that production. And that's a big thing, right?
That's a big number, too.
If we have a $100 million film, right, the least that, that we're going to walk away with is $65 million, right? So after that production's done, they turn in those numbers. Most productions in Montana are qualifying at 20% of their initial budget. And then after that can take, like Jeff said, up to a year, then that tax credit is then given to that company.
Okay.
Now, what's important is that tax credit has to be sold back in the state of Montana.
Sure.
So any business can use that tax credit, but it can't leave the state. So, we're not only, you're creating and funneling new business in, but you're making all of that money from that production that's on the ground, which is millions of dollars, whether it be from catering, stage building, hiring of crews. Not only are you making income tax off those crews, there's so many benefits, you know what I mean? But I think the big misconception is the movie industry is getting all these big tax breaks, but really all the money's staying in the States.
Stays in state.
Yeah, that's important.
Retailers make a fortune off of this too.
Right. Oh, I absolutely love it. I was just reading this on the website too. It says we'll be offering at least 1,937 jobs that will require to open and operate the facility. Note that on any given day, a full capacity, there could be 1,000 to 2,000 additional people working at the studio in various production roles. Movies, television programs, streaming series, and digital gaming. I love it. And then on here, it shows all different types of jobs. You can just read it. I love that. You were explaining to me, Jeff, a minute ago, a little bit about you're really kind of creating like a zip code, kind of a city within the area. Because sometimes if you just land 2,000 people into an area, they need housing, they need services, and so really a lot of that you're kind of bringing into the state for us.
Well, we're not bringing people from outside
Right.
the state. Okay, well, our objective is to employ within the state. Right, so the operations should be very simple to employ most of those people. You know, we'll have to have a few industry people, heads, you know,
Sure, absolutely.
to educate and mentor.
No, I was just going to show people this. This is really good. It shows the air conditioning jobs, administrative jobs, aircraft, drones, and helicopter jobs, childcare centers, construction services, corporate logistics and traffic, costumes, couriers, credit union banking services, drapery, electric, facility rentals. I mean, the list just goes on and on. You were talking about even having its own fire department. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So,
Give people a snapshot.
so we don't overburden any type of municipality or anything like that. We have our own interior fire department. We have our own police department. We have our own EMS. We have our emergency care centers inside the studio.
Sure.
So God forbid something happens,
Yeah.
we're prepared. But at the same time, if the local people need assistance, we will send our fire department out to help, our EMS out to help, and our police department if needed. If something comes up, we're all, any of those assets.
Yeah, no, I love the 1937 direct jobs, 1,000 to 2,000 additional during production, plus 3,500 to 4,000 indirect jobs created in Yellowstone and surrounding counties. This is big.
Yes, it is big.
That's exciting.
It's a major investment.
Right.
All we want is they get the investment tax credits that we need, which is industry standard.
Sure,
We're
absolutely.
not trying to create anything different.
No, I think like right here in Billings, we've got a couple different TIF districts, where they got tax increment financing,
Mm-hmm.
and these different companies can apply for the money, kind of similar, and the money there's criteria on how that money is spent, typically on infrastructure improvements, especially like downtown Billings or the north side where it's a little bit older, or the south side of Billings where it's a little bit older, a little more dilapidated, needs some of that refresh. And so I think people are really starting to kind of get that, understand what that means. And so I know it's different, but kind of similar, where there's some money that's available for us, but we just have to educate people on how we get it back into our state.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
These are jobs that are permanent. They're not going anywhere, because once you have the infrastructure in place, it's a big, major investment. That infrastructure is here to stay.
Sure.
So jobs, it's not like it's going to come here and go.
Right.
That's not our way.
A lot of
It
sustainability.
just doesn't work
Sure,
that way. Any
sure.
type of business.
Well, I was thinking we were talking about the movie Yellowstone and things like that. And like you said, some people, right, wrong, or different. Some people love it, some people hate it. And I always try to flip the script of like, if people are going to move here from other parts of the country, I'm always just thrilled that they come, embrace our state. I try to embrace them. I always think, okay, the next person that moves here, maybe that's going to be Ryan's daughter's next husband, or maybe that's going to be the next mayor of our fine city, or maybe that's going to be the next governor, or maybe that's going to be a city leader or somebody that brings in 2,000 jobs. And so it's really just changing the narrative on how we look at that. And I always say, like, all of us are transplants anyway. None of us were actually from here, right? I mean, my family's from Hawaii and my family's from Norway, but we ended up here. So everybody just thinks I'm a local, which I am, but I didn't start here.
I imagine the Norway side enjoyed it more than versus the
Yes,
Hawaii
exactly.
side.
Janine, good morning. Jim Sweet is watching today from Key West, Florida. Lou is watching today from Idaho. Good morning, Tara. Good morning, everybody. Billy, we're going to run to a break. We're going to come back, talk more about Worldwide Entertainment Studios. Kicking with Leif, 95 Wolf.
Yeah, I went to school at MSU Bozeman. There had some friends in the music, movie industry. So that's when River Run Through It was being filmed up here.
That's right.
So I remember these guys. I love them to death. They're just these outgoing guys. In fact, one of them now works for Technicolor, but they had the after party. Well, they would they weren't part of the production, so they would crash it out there at the Gallatin, the
Got the gateway.
Yeah.
and they were on the side of the house, it was all fenced in. And I remember this young guy comes up to have a cigarette, Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
And he said Brad was cool as ever. He's 90, was it 92?
Sure.
So he's still just,
Right around.
Yeah,
and he asked, he goes, what do you guys, we're film students at MSU. He goes, come on in, just don't make a scene. So they got to walk in, they just stood on the outskirts.
Yeah.
He said Brad Pitt was the coolest guy. But I, always like, what are you guys going to do with this degree?
Yeah.
And a couple of them did other things, but George Zid, he's he was a Technicolor, he was from Oregon, but just this great kid, outgoing, love him to death. So, they always made fun of him. I was in engineering, which I didn't complete, but, what are you guys doing? You just act all day? He goes, it's not all about acting.
Right.
There's a lot of different things about movies, it's not just.
Yeah, there's far more behind it
Exactly.
than ever in front of it.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's huge behind the camera.
But all you see is I want to be the actor. Oh, there's so many,
Yeah.
the music,
That's a good point.
the
Really
production.
good point.
Hey, a good production makes a good.
And it's a much more consistent living on the crew side. I mean, I started in front of the camera. That's how I got started in the industry. I did a little mini Star Searcher in Billings. Is how it all started.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
I was 16. And then went to Orlando, Florida, and then you start going in front of all these other auditions, got agents, so on and so forth. But I always thought that's what it would be. But then once you get that little taste behind the camera, you start going you get to create worlds as a director.
Sure. Yeah.
You're not just dictated by what's in a script.
Right.
Not saying I don't miss sometimes just
Oh,
sitting
sure.
in a chair
Sure.
and being powdered.
Yeah.
It's just like, look at
The green room.
people, But
That's funny. I love it.
Well, then it comes up for some middle-aged plus 50-year-old bald guys. Just
Yeah, look, we're here for you.
And that's something we haven't discussed either, because you have a lot of talent up here that are actors. It's
Absolutely.
surprised how many
Absolutely.
industry people are here. And
I like that. We'll talk about that. 20 seconds. Sherman, Brooke, how are you? Donna, hello. Billings, we're back, kicking it with Leif, 98.5 The Wolf, Billings' best country music, Billings' premier country station, 98.5 The Wolf, talking all things worldwide entertainment studios. Jeff, I was just thinking about this with regards to, we were talking about the movie Yellowstone. So because of TV shows, I keep saying movie, don't I? Yeah. The TV show, the TV series, is that it really has prompted, obviously, every time I travel, anytime I go anywhere, people always, they hear I'm from Montana, they always ask about the TV show all the time. And so do you think because of the success of it, will that prompt more activity, more action, more business for our area?
oh, absolutely. Anytime you have something on a movie screen or on television, and it shows the locale of where they're filming,
Sure.
and tourism doesn't mean they're moving here. It means they're coming in for a couple of days, and that couple of days they spend money.
Absolutely.
And that means everyone benefits, the restaurants, the dry cleaners, everything you could think of
Absolutely.
benefits, because the laundromats, you name it, they all benefit.
Well, I love what you guys were talking about a minute ago with regards to there's so much that happens behind the cameras with regards to production and stagehands. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's on the website, all those kinds of things. So how do you propose to target individuals, and what I mean that is the youth, so that they know that these opportunities are here? Because you want them to be advocates, obviously, of this whole thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one is we've been talking with the universities on their programs and their filming to maybe tweak them up more to where when they come out, they can actually do their job, right? And so we can OJT them and things like that. But Tim, you take it from there.
yeah, I mean, like Jeff is saying, I mean, we've already traveled around the state, talked with like MSU Bozeman, for example.
Sure.
We went and looked at their film school. We talked with their students. We looked at all of their camera gear. Said, how can we, organize something that would be conducive to actually like applying to the film industry, right?
Sure.
And a big element of the studio as well is one of the things we want to put on the studio is an actual type of learning university, right? So that these people that are coming in can learn how to be grip and electric. They can learn how to go into, whatever department they'd like to, whether it be art department. There's so many departments. in film.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's a lot.
Designers, wardrobe.
Right. So there's a lot of learning mentalities. And the other thing we want to do is we want to use Montana organizations. It's really important to the studio. That's the only reason I even decided to work with this guy, right?
Yeah.
2 years ago when I met him was the fact he said, what's important to use in Montana? And I said, we have to support Montana organizations, right? It doesn't just mean that everything in the film industry, there's a lot to support outside of Montana, whether it be, the Grain Growers Association or the Stockman Association.
That's right.
I'm a ranch kid, so those things are important. And Jeff said, whatever we need to do. We want to make this happen. And, your guys' word of the day, determination, that's Jeff. And these guys have been trying to get this built for 6 years. But, some of the other organizations we definitely want to mention that we want to use is the Montana Film Office, right? We want to use the Montana Media Coalition.
Sure.
And people like Linwood Fields and those people that are trying to actively get people hired in
All
Montana.
good people.
All wonderful people. And I just had a wonderful conversation with Linwood Fields last week. We want to get those people incorporated and train them. And if they don't necessarily have, the necessary experience, we can help them get that.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about the training, what that would look like. Because let's say somebody's not in film and TV, but they want to get involved. What would that look like?
I mean, the best way is just getting on-set experience. When you have a studio, you have such a unique experience, like the opportunity to bring people in and get them experience around the film, and then they're surrounded by it every day, right? Just living and breathing it. And I think that's the best way to start. The other way is working with the universities. That's what's so important to us. They're not
And
just
the career centers.
Sure. In the career centers, vocational schools as well, because
Yeah.
it's not just, people say you work in film and television, let's work with cameras, right? But there are so many departments, whether it be art department, grip and electric, even if you wanted to be catering, you know what I mean? I mean, you name it, running cables, there's so many.
Sure.
I went down to the career center here in Billings and sat down with the dean and everyone. And they're great kids.
Sure.
Great
Absolutely.
kids.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to think, we have cars, trucks, everything. So they all need to be serviced. So we need mechanics, we need welders, we need electricians, we need plumbers. Everything you can think of that the Career Center provides.
Just hand in glove that.
And so all these youth that really maybe didn't finish high school or just decided not to go to college for
Right.
some particular
Sure.
reason or whatever, they couldn't afford it, there's opportunity here for them to make those great salaries
I love what you just said.
and have full-time, great-paying jobs
Right.
inside the studio. And they also go to locations where the filming is taking place. So
So you can be involved in the film and TV industry without really being in film and TV.
that's
Basically,
correct. Totally correct.
yeah.
65% of the operation is blue collar.
Love it.
Blue
back
collar
home in
jobs-
Montana,
but
right?
blue collar jobs are paying high salaries.
Absolutely.
You know,
No, it's funny you said that because I was thinking about what you said just a minute ago with regards to like the career center and talking with the youth. Because a 4-year university is not for everybody. A 4-year degree.
No.
Some people are like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I always encourage people because I do a lot of work in the construction field. I always say, get into HVAC, get into electrical, get into the plumbing, get into the trades. You will do well.
that's
And so there's plenty of opportunities.
yes.
So, how long? What's it going to take to get this cap lifted and get this thing going? Obviously, it's just time, energy, and determination. I'm going to assume.
Well, it takes personality,
Sure.
which I don't have. Some people have said to me, "Well, Jeff, they just really don't like you because you have so much time to explain
Sure,
something
sure.
and educate them, and they don't." So maybe not all the niceties are always done.
Sure.
But your heart is in the right place
Right.
to get this done. You're doing it for a purpose, right? Because I do everything in life with purpose,
Right.
right? And I always like to get to that end result, to create a result. So when I'm explaining to them, instead of always saying, you have 20 minutes
Sure.
to talk to a politician. So
Sometimes less.
and how can you explain and educate them everything within 20 minutes if you're going to spend 15 of that on niceties?
Sure.
Right?
Finding common ground.
And it's I apologize for that,
Sure.
because
You want to get to the point?
I want to get to the point, and I'm a very humble person, and I'm not a super aggressive in any super way,
Right.
but I just need to educate,
Right.
and they take that personal.
Sure.
And if I offended anyone, I deeply apologize.
Sure.
From the soul.
No, I think trying to get your point across. A lot of times, the same thing here on the show is I get people on here for 15, 20 minutes, and a lot of times I want to get to know them, but at the same time, I want to get to the point of why they're here.
Purpose.
Let them tell their story, whatever,
Yeah.
sing their music, do their art, whatever they're going to do. And so I think that's really, really important. Let's see here. Jesse's watching. Mason Tingy's watching. Justin Moran says, "Good morning, Leif. I'm new to your show over the last couple of weeks. I've added it to my daily addition to my day. Thank you. Have a fantastic day." Oh, that's very kind of you, Justin. Appreciate that. Janine, good morning. Good morning, Luke. Good morning, Jim. Billings, we're going to run to one more break, and we're going to come back and talk about Worldwide Entertainment Studios. We're going to ask these guys, I'm going to ask Jeff in particular what he thinks about that word, determination. Kick it with Leif, 98.5 The Wolf. Yeah, this is just going to take some time in it to get everybody educated.
Yes.
And
That's why I want to do a lot of these.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think the big thing up there is that, we run into three different types. We talked to so many legislators and representatives.
Sure.
You get the Montana nativism, which I can appreciate, right? But they're like, we don't want any more Californians moving here. If we build a studio, all the Californians are going to move here. Well, guys, it's happening already.
Right.
It's happening far before Yellowstone.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other flip side of that is that there is just a big push in the parties right now that don't like tax credits, no matter what they are. I mean, our tax credit is one of the few in the states that has a positive ROI, and it's proven.
Right.
The least it's ever brought back to the state is $48 million a year, but they don't care. It says tax credit, don't want it, right?
Interesting.
And the big difficulty to understand up in Helen, and I didn't realize this until I started walking the halls 2 years ago working with Jeff, is that we have a zero balance budget in Montana.
Right.
And when we have a fiscal note, like what fiscal notes are is any bills that goes through, they assign a number that what it's going to cost. It's not a dynamic fiscal note. Dynamic fiscal note at least puts in the positive numbers, what's it going to make for the state. So what's difficult is even like on our bill, for example, and I'll be brief for this, it'd be at $250 million is what we're trying to push at, right? For the state to use a $250 million tax credit, it would have to do $800 million in business. That's a pretty good profit margin.
Yeah,
that's almost $600 million. But that's not included in our fiscal notes.
No.
They'll just slap it with probably $120 million fiscal note. Everybody goes, this is costing the state $120 million? No way.
No way.
And it does. It does in committee. So
It's a number they make up.
Sure.
I'm a banker.
Right.
And I did work with the DOR here. All right. And I've gone through all their budgets and everything. And they say, guys, you just don't understand how it works. You're putting a number on there that doesn't exist because we're cash flow positive for the state. We're cash flow positive for everyone that lives here.
Sure.
So it's thing. And then we get told, well, you're from California. Well, if they say Bozeman and everyone moved in there was from California. Well, California was number 10 on the list.
Right.
Below 10, I think it was like 11 or 12 even, all right? So
it's just a blanket statement.
Those blanket statements.
So they call it Balls Angeles.
Yeah.
It's mostly people from the East Coast.
Sure.
that
Sure.
moved here.
Yeah.
Because not too many Californians would move here for the weather.
Right.
Yesterday.
What's that?
They moved here, and yesterday they're like,
Yeah, especially yesterday. Yeah.
it's going to be 80 in Anaheim. Yeah, it's 10 below here. Where are you going to be?
Yeah.
Especially.
Hey, Bill, we're back. Kicking it with Leif, 98.5 The Wolf. Good morning, everybody. 8:49 a.m., 11 minutes to the top of the hour. Reading a couple of comments online. This is, she was talking about your word purpose. Jesse says, I do everything in life with purpose. That's great. There's another great word for the day, purpose. Then she goes on to say, because she's from California, she says, not all of us Californians are bad. So true. So true. As we kind of wrap up our discussion, Jeff, the word of the day today is determination, which I think is a great word. Ryan is the one that came up with it for today, and so obviously I think it's a great word. Here's a couple of quotes I wanted to read. This one says, "A river cuts through rock, not because of its power, but because of its persistence and determination." I love that.
Constancy.
Yeah, this was one I read yesterday, and it's worth reading again today. This is from Martin Luther King. He says, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. So when you think about this lift that you guys are making here for our state, educating, empowering us so we can make good decisions, when you think about that word determination, what kind of springs to mind for you?
Everything, when you have purpose, you have to have determination. There's a book written by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich, yeah.
And it's a great book. It was a Bible to it when I came out of the Marine Corps when I worked on Wall Street. And you just apply it every day, and you find, because you get rid of your bad habits and start acquiring good habits by being mentored correctly.
Good point.
Mentoring is very, very important. That's what we intend to do. Right, and you will find that your life changes will come quickly to you. If not always quick, but maybe it's going to come. But it will come over time. You just have to stay consistent,
stay the course,
and don't change your mind.
Sure,
because keep pushing forward. You'll always resolve and succeed.
Yes, love that. Thank you for sharing that. Really, really good. So, what's the best way for people to get more information? Because obviously, this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Like you said, you can't explain it all in just a few minutes. So it's best for people to go to the website.
Yes, go to worldwideentertainmentstudios.com.
Yeah, right there you can see all the types of jobs. You can see really kind of everything encompassed into our conversation today. And really, it speaks volume, especially when you look at all those jobs. It's an impressive list.
It would be our pleasure to make this happen for the state of Montana.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for the youth. I'm all about the youth.
Yeah.
Right?
So do you ever sit there and think about that? Because I assume some of your kids are here and some of them are gone.
Yeah, I've got I've got 7 kids.
Yeah.
So 2 in Utah, 1 in Idaho, and I have 4 here. And I miss my grandkids greatly because they don't live here.
Sure.
But the opportunities, some moved out of state to go to school, and obviously met someone there.
Sure.
But yeah, my daughter that went down to Utah, she's basically an online digital marketer. That's where she kind of met people down in Utah, and that's what she does.
Sure.
But she does production. She has to do her own little production world for the 2 companies she works for.
Sure.
But I have my youngest son actually would love to get into photography. He does go to the Career Center for other things. I was just thinking he loves to dance. He's just this. Jackson's just awesome.
Sure. He's a creative. It sounds like.
Thought about it. He's only a junior. I'm like, I need to get him into that. I think he'd be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to get these kids when they're young, so they can see there's opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. So it's awesome that our kids are, that's where we're going. We got to keep them here if we can.
Well, and that's true. I mean, it's beautiful to have our families stay within the local areas.
Absolutely.
Because you don't have to plan on them coming home. Make big plans for them to come down home for the holidays.
Right. That's true.
And then all of a sudden, strange comes up and they can't make it.
Yeah.
This last year was probably our first holiday I haven't had all my kids.
And that's
hard.
That's hard.
I'm glad they're doing well in life because they were there, but there's just something missing, and it's just that being together.
Sure.
That's all it is.
It's like they leave when they're young, in their 18s, they're going to college, they meet a young lady or vice versa. Right? They get married, and then their life just stays where it's at.
Yeah, it does a lot of times.
They don't come home. So why not do that all here?
Amen. Right?
I'm with you. And keep them here.
Keep the jobs here. Keep the money here. Yes.
Let them become homeowners. That means they become great citizens of Montana. Pay taxes.
Yes.
And put all that revenue back into the Treasury of the State of Montana and be able to have great surplus.
Yes. Surplus. That's another good word. Well, thank you guys for coming today. We'll be in touch. WorldwideEntertainmentStudios.com. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jeff Billings. We'll be right back. Kicking it with Leif. 95 The Wolf. Well, thanks, guys. Let's take a quick picture together, and we'll let you get out of here.
Yes. Okay.
That makes sense. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Pleasure.